And thank you for decades of outstanding leadership in the community, as well as all your contributions. I mean, you're a public figure, so
And
appreciate
thank
that.
you for decades of outstanding leadership.
Yeah.
Suresh
Muted
Chapuri,
where
if you
other.
can,
Yep,
yeah.
I'm new to that. I'm good. I'm back now.
Yeah, so Suresh, if you start recording, I think we can do a quick opening and then I'll hand off to Suresh Somasetigar for introduction.
It's all yours,
Uh,
Prem.
Good morning, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we have a very well-known speaker, a guest speaker here for us, who's going to help us understand various nuances and insights on financial planning and wealth management, etc. Just to kick things off, Warren Buffett, who we all go by, especially as a steady investor and a fantastic planner and the leader of incredible business, said a few quotes. I'm going to start with that. He said, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful." It basically emphasizes an importance of maintaining a contrarian mindset while also being balanced and focused on our financial profile. There's another famous quote where he said, "Rule number one, never lose money. Rule number two, never forget rule number one." And many such quotes. I think another one stands out, which is "Time is the friend of the wonderful company, enemy of the mediocre," which highlights the importance of taking the time to do the planning and building a solid profile for the future. This is going to help a lot of us in our personal as well as professional endeavors that we are all interested in. Without further ado, I'd love to welcome Suresh Somaseti garu to introduce our wonderful speaker, and we'll go from there. Suresh garu, please take it away.
Thank you, Praveen Garu. Thank you, and we welcome everyone, and very good evening and good morning to all of the people here, and very happy New Year to you all. Before we start the first seminar of this year, so it is privilege and honor to introduce Mr. Shekhar Vemparala, who is a US-based financial advisor and entrepreneur, well known for his work in wealth planning, philanthropy, focused planning, and meditation advocacy. As a founder of Wealth DNA, Shekhar pioneered a process that transforms financial planning into a life strategy, helping families create unique wealth signature, a living expression of values, vision, and impact. He counsels, delivers more than technical solutions. It provides clarity, direction, and confidence that last across generations. As a principal of Wealth Planning Advisory Group, Shekhar specializes in advanced tax strategies, asset protection, and intergenerational legacy design, equipping wealth holders to safeguard their success while unlocking the joy of purposeful living. So philanthropy is not just a professional specialty for Shekhar, it is his personal calling. In his book, Born to Give, Finding Ultimate Joy Through Professional Giving, he shares the philosophy that the true wealth is not measured by what we accumulate, but by what we contribute. He holds multiple professional designations: chartered financial consultant, certified financial planner, chartered life underwriter, and chartered advance advisor in philanthropy. Shekhar brings both technical mastery and human insight to every relationship. As a lifelong learner and avid traveler, he shares his journey with Madhavi Vemparala, CHFC. She is also his life partner in life, his partner in life and purpose. So without any further ado, I would welcome Shekhar Vemparala to take over from the here.
Thank you, Suresh. I sincerely appreciate your very kind comments. And I should tell you that after being in this industry for 35 years, I now consider myself an advanced student. And I, in all humility, what I've learned in these 35 years is that things are always evolving, things are changing. I mean, who knew 5 years ago that there is a term called chat GPT? We didn't know that, right? So the white space is getting wider, and the people who succeed, uh, I mean, I really appreciate the comments, the Warren Buffett comments. I mean, they're a good reminder of, you know, don't be just quick to jump into something out of greed. Always be fearful of greed, and in the long run, a well balanced approach is always in good taste. So um, my goal today is, we have a generous amount of time. So, what I intend to do is spend uh, the first 30 to 45 minutes just going through my prepared presentation, and then open it up for Q&A, because this presentation really is all about you. It's not about me, right? So I want to be able to address and provide value to those that, could essentially get something valuable out of this Saturday morning, because Saturday mornings are so precious. It's family time, it's social time, it's things that you also want to do. So I don't want to hog up all the time with boring ideas that you may already know. The goal is to actually see if I could provide direction, leadership, confidence, and clarity in some of the things that may complement what you're already doing, rather than me just coming up with stuff that you already know. I'd rather take some real questions. I also would like to state that uh, I may not be all things to all people. For example, those of us on this call from JNTU, uh, our motherland, India, and our residents of India, we do provide services in India. We have offices, but most of the tax planning ideas that we're going to talk about apply only to the United States, not even the rest of the world. So it's a US focus based financial planning that we're going to focus on. Some of the ideas you may already know. The title of my presentation is Uncommon Strategies Commonly Overlooked. And that is true. So we work with CPAs, we work with attorneys, and in our space, really, it's the triage of the financial advisor with other trusted advisors such as Suresh that bring value to the table. Everybody would like to believe that they're the smartest bulb in the room, but by actually collaborating and working with others is where the most value is. And I would like to personally applaud Suresh in bringing me onto this forum to offer my comments today, because the reality is we both are in the same space. We do similar things, but it takes an advisor such as Suresh to recognize that we can complement and work together in a few areas. And I would also like to state that Suresh is the way you can connect with me should you require additional, support in any way. We would welcome that. So the idea is to really, because you're an alumni association, the idea here is not to sell you anything. That's not the purpose of today's call. The purpose of today's call is simply to share some ideas that you may have not either heard about or you have overlooked it. I would ask that you bring these back to your current professionals, such as your CPA or your attorney, to see if they would fit your bill in any way. And that's how we would like to take today. It's You may hear something that you already know. You may hear some fresh new ideas. So I'm a digital immigrant, so somebody has to tell me, Suresh, if I click the share button, which is the green arrow, I should be able to share, right? Uh, let's see.
Yes.
Share.
Let's see, share. And I need to.
And we can see your screen. So if you go full screen mode, perfect. Thank you.
You can see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Let me just also see how I can minimize this window. So actually, bear with me. Okay. All right. So it's really presented by Suresh and I rather than just myself. Um so I'm also the author of Born to Give, which is my book that was published last year. I am yet to create an ebook. Once it's created, Suresh can distribute it in the electronic format. It's a compilation of stories about philanthropy and ways and modes to give. First, when I started writing this book, it was about embellishing on the tools such as charitable remainder trusts and more boring stuff, lead trusts and donor advised funds and foundations and all of that. Then I kind of, after a couple of years of writing it, I converted it in more into a mindset book rather than a technique book, because techniques today is available with even chat gpt, right? So it's been well received, and it's something that might resonate with you. We'll share that very soon on the ebook platform. And if somebody wants a hard copy, just let Suresh know, and we'll be happy to mail you one. Compliments, no charge to you. So let me see what's happening. Just trying to advance the slide here.
Excuse me, just to benefit of others, when you mentioned Suresh, because we have multiple Sureshes, I think you are
Suresh
mentioning
Somisetti.
Suresh Somisetti. Okay. Just want to clarify others that, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Let me. I'm having. Oh yeah, okay. So you can still see my screen, right? The full screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay. This is just my way of looking at everything in life. You know, we all like to add things and multiply things, whether it's happiness, and this is a good time of the year to talk about, um, you know, contentment, happiness, health, whatever it is. Those are the kind of things that we like to either add or multiply. I mean, we have something called New Year resolutions, which I stopped a few years ago because they last through the months of January and February, right? And subtraction, we don't like stress, we don't like health issues, we obviously don't like to pay taxes, which is what I'm trying to actually get to here. We have two types of taxes. We have income taxes, and then we have estate taxes. And what happens is, this is how we make money. We work in something. We get paid as a wage earner, W-2 in the United States. Or if you're an entrepreneur and you're exiting out of companies, you suddenly find yourselves in a lucrative position where things are multiplied. Unfortunately, the side effects of that is taxes, right? There's taxes, and there's more taxes if you have a situation where you've sold a very large company, or you have estate taxes when a taxpayer leaves the planet. We have a 40% estate tax, which I call financial liposuction. This is a clinical term that I coined, idiopathic tax myopathy. I'm not a physician. I know very little about medicine. But from what I understand, idiopathic means that there's zero reason. It's an unknown reason. Idiopathic means that there's no known reason. Uh, and tax myopathy simply means that there's no known reason why you have to give away a lot of your money to taxes. So we can find ways to protect your intergenerational wealth transfer if you're in that situation, or if you're accumulating along the way, we need to make sure that, the taxes are moderate and not excessive. So the goal is not to evade taxes, the goal is to avoid taxes. And the best example I can use of that is if anywhere in the country there could be a toll road in New Jersey, we have the Garden State Parkway going south, or somewhere if you're in the Washington D.C. area, wherever you're in the country, there's always a road where you can bypass the toll. It's a longer road, but if you're in a hurry, you have to, take the toll road. Uh, Evading taxes would be to go through the toll road and not pay the taxes. Avoiding taxes would be to simply, or toll would be to just bypass it. So, what we want to do is find ways and means that's actually written in the code. The IRS gives you several opportunities if you really look at the IRS. They give you so many avenues. The best one, for example, that everybody knows is the 401k. It's the 401 code section of the Internal Revenue Service, that allows you to contribute on a tax qualified basis to deduct taxes. The only problem with that is that it just creates a problem in the future. You're postponing by paying taxes on the seed, or deducting the taxes on the seed, but you end up paying taxes on the harvest. So for every gimme, there's always a gotcha, and the gotcha is on the back end. So how do we deal with it? There's something called a Roth IRA. Now, I'm not telling anything new here, but there are ways in which you can tax loss harvest. You can give away some money to charity, get a tax reduction. The net sum game is to figure out a way for you to ultimately not pay as much taxes by avoiding it legally. That's the name of the game, right? So in our world, in the financial landscape, there's investment banks, there's private equity, and then there's hedge funds like Millennium or D. Shaw or Citadel. These are names that you may have heard. Uh, and what do all of these in common have, right? What's common here? They're selling you something by way of, CDs, which hardly anybody invests in anymore, but sometimes you're compelled to. We call those certificates of depreciation. They take more than they give you. They give you a certain interest rate, which becomes taxable. And because of the inflation that we have, in the end, if you're getting 4%, you're really getting -1, because the 4% is taxable, which means that you give 30% away. And then if there's a 3% inflation, you're really not making any progress. So, what the financial industry has done over a long period of time is evolved into synthesizing these products. So that's how you have these CDOs and CMOs, and off late you have these equity linked products, structured notes, leveraged ETFs. So going back 50 or 75 years, there was just mutual funds. Then around the year 2000, we came up with the exchange traded funds, which was better than mutual funds because you could trade them all day long and they could be in several sectors, not just the S&P 500, which Vanguard made a hallmark in introducing that, the Vanguard 500, but essentially it's the S&P 500. So what all of these are really products, right? And providers of financial products and services actually do help you make money, right? By packaging it in such a way, if you're not just buying a stock directly, you can buy all these different products and they can potentially help you make money. And what the time value of money tells us is that the rule of 72, it's simply a way of figuring out that at 10%, the money doubles every 7 years. Or at actually 10%, the money will double every 7 years. And at 7%, the money will double every 10 years. Now, interestingly, is it time to fire the advisor? Because time value of money is out the window. Right now, we used to have our uh, Federal Open Market Committee chairman, Alan Greenspan, about 20 years ago. He came up with a statement which is irrational exuberance. And that's what we have right now. Uh, there's no real value that anybody sees in managing an asset with a typical financial advisor. So, the value of what Suresh Somasetti and I can do for you is to guide you to make decisions that products cannot deliver. So, it's not about the product, it is potentially about how do you deal with it, because with the time value of money for the last 3.5 years, your money has doubled up. Why? Because this is the original, for those of you who are at least 50 years old and listening in, the movie The Magnificent Seven is what we all grew up. It's a Western movie, but The Magnificent Seven today means Google, Amazon, Tesla, Apple. And these seven can change. Tesla can go out and become the eight and come back in depending on the market cycle. So, what has happened is really, if you think about the Alan Greenspan syndrome today, with Chat GPT, with AI, and with leveraged ETFs, and the way we are dealing with the marketplace, there's a plethora of financial products that are packaged in such a way that somehow you feel that we have a divine right to at least earn 20 or 30%. When I first started in the financial services industry, the norm was 10 to 12% a year. Now, if you talk to somebody and say, oh, our average rate of return could potentially be between 10 and 15%, and they immediately say, is that per month? Because I'm only making 5% a month. If you can show me a way to make 10% a month, I'll be at 120% for the year. So that the language, the thinking, and all of this has changed. And what's important to remember is that the rightful owner eventually is really the marketplace. So what goes up will come down, and what comes down will go up. So it's time in the market, not timing the market. And Warren Buffett's comments come in very handy, because if you look at Berkshire Hathaway B over long periods of time, it's been one of the most uh, successful funds. Yeah, I was just pausing for a minute because if somebody
There is a hot
has
mic.
their
Sorry.
no, no, that's okay. That's okay. If somebody has a comment, I welcome that. Otherwise, I can continue.
Yeah, please mute if you're not speaking. Please continue, Shekhar.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Sure. So, I'm just saying that the current times call us for to be cautious because the greed factor is setting in, and as Warren Buffett said, we need to be fearful at times when everybody is greedy, and when back in the year 2008, Warren Buffett was the only one with liquidity, and even Goldman Sachs and GE, Goldman Sachs and other companies became a bank to get the handouts from the Troubled Asset Restructuring Program called TARP. And then they realized that uh, the federal government had too many strings attached to the TARP, so they, instead of being a bank, they went back to being an investment bank, and they wanted to get out of the banking business. The point to be made is that at that time, the only person who had real cash sitting on the sidelines was Warren Buffett, and he was able to lend money to GE at 12% because they were about to file for bankruptcy. So I just wanted to uh, again switch gears here and talk about the time value of money and how things compound. And what fascinated Albert Einstein was the fact that he said that compound interest is much more fascinating than E equals mc square. His statement, at least this is what's attributed to him, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who does not pays it. So, and banks are making a killing with the lending right now because of inflation, which got triggered during the COVID timeframe. Interest rates, which were near zero, now 7 to 8%, primes at 7.25, I believe, and banks are taking that plus a spread, and so the cost of borrowing money is closer to 8 or 9, and even higher if you're a small venture, right? So this is my statement. I just made this up. Tax deferred compounding is the ninth wonder of the world, not the eighth. Uh, and that's because you can actually make more money saving taxes than by making more money. So those of us who have had the Apples and the Nvidias and the Magnificent Seven, really, if you think about it, we're in a trap because what do? It's appreciated so much that if you sell it, you have to pay 20%, which is the same thing as accepting a 20% downside. So you hang on to it until it falls and hurts you by falling down 40 or 50%, and then you try to make something out of it by getting out. Now, there are means, there's a exchange fund out there where you can swap it out, but they get you by asking you to hold in there for 7 years. So there are tax strategies where you can make more money saving taxes than by making more money. And that's what Suresh Somasetti and I can bring some fresh ideas to you. And again, all of this because you're an alumni association. Just remember that this is a public service announcement rather than a pitch. So we'll be happy to share with you freely what some of these ideas can do for you. So it's not that we have something unique and that's the only way to do it. There's so many different ways to do it. So the white space is really not the products. The white space in our financial landscape is don't clutter your white space with things and products. And the reason for that is really you need to declutter and you digitally need to detox. There's too much going on with chat gpt, and one has to be careful because the hallucinations are still there. The chat gpt keeps improving it, but at the end of the day, uh, you can really go wrong if you don't know what you're doing. So don't necessarily depend on what used to be Google and now is ChatGPT or Gemini. So in our space, professional advice is really the white space, right? So I personally think that if you have a few dollars and you're looking to leverage and manage that, uh, you really need tax planning more than you need investment planning. Investment planning meaning, anybody can pick. It doesn't take an advisor like Suresh Somaseti or I to tell you that, you could be in the Magnificent Seven. You can do that on your own. So what we could potentially help you with is help you save taxes, qualified plans, non qualified plans, life insurance, charitable plans. All these are services, if you will, or concepts rather than uh, the products. Any of these products can fit into any of these buckets. And that's what will help you ultimately save taxes, right? So the only other way to figure out a way to avoid taxes are either revocable trusts, which actually are included in your estate but can avoid local salt, which is state and local taxes, which is called probate. So, or irrevocable trusts, which can actually permanently move outside. So, if somebody has a couple of $1 million and they're in their 50s or 60s, what you want to do is rather than have that in your estate, if you can give it away, you can create what is called as an irrevocable trust. And we'll get into the limits. The OB3, the one big beautiful bill that has become law now, allows you to actually uh, avoid estate taxes. The limits are quite significant. So a lot of the estate taxes problems have gone away. But you still need to figure out a way because with life expectancy being late 80s or early 90s, the runway for anybody who's even 65 today is probably the next 25 years or more, right? So there's much planning to be done, and that's important. So there's different types of acronyms here. Over and above trust, one can put money away with the right to take it. In the old days, people didn't put money in an irrevocable trust because it cannot be changed once established, even though it offers strong asset protection and estate tax benefits. But in the last 20 years or so, attorneys have come up with a concept called a slat. By the way, if you're if you want, we'll be happy to send the entire deck to Suresh Somaseti, who can then put it in the JNTU box so you can pick it up. So you don't necessarily have to take notes as we speak. All these acronyms mean something. SLAT stands for Spousal Lifetime Access Trust. So if I have a net worth of say $5 to $10 million, the issue is if I give that away to an irrevocable trust, I don't really have access to it anymore. It would go to my children. That's current estate planning law. You put something in an irrevocable trust, it's only for the benefit of the next generation. So what attorneys have come up with in the last few years is they said, hey, I'd like to not pay estate taxes at 40% because estate taxes used to be, uh, you know, uh, when Ronald Reagan was president, it was 675,000. By the time George Bush came in, he said, I'm going to increase it to 2 million and goes up to 5 million, but then it'll go back. And there was something called a sunset provision. When Obama took office, uh, it became the 5 million was the law. So you could give away up to $5 million. And when Trump came in, he simply said, okay, I'm just going to double it. So it became 10 million, which eventually became 13 million. And that was the law during the Biden administration. With the OB3, it's now at 15 million per taxpayer. However, people are still reluctant to put the money in an irrevocable trust. So, what attorneys have come up with is saying, hey, you can have your cake and eat it too. So, they came up with something called a SLAT, which is called Spousal Lifetime Access Trust. So, when a spouse gives assets for the benefit of the other, it can be removed from the taxable estate, but there are at least four ways in which you can get the money out of that slat. One is called a 5%, what is called as a crummy provision, and these names have some meaning. Like Senator Roth came up with the Roth IRA. Crummy was a taxpayer who said, if I put money into a trust, I should be able to access something out of it. And the IRS said, okay, we'll give you a private letter ruling and you can take 5% of the money every year. So that's called a crummy provision. It's crummy versus the IRS. And I don't know the year in which it happened. ChatGPT can tell you that. But crummy versus the IRS allowed the taxpayer to at least get 5% of the principal every year and all of the income. So you can get 10%. But the SLAT allows you one more thing. It's called a HEMS provision. The spouse, the other spouse, so if you're the grantor, there's three parties to a trust. There's the grantor, who's like the Brahma of the trust. They create the trust, but once the trust is created, they can't do anything. So the Vishnu of the trust is the trustee. They can sustain the trust. They have all the rights of changing, buying, selling, doing whatever. They manage the trust. So until the trust is dissolved. So the trustee, which is the other spouse in many cases, is allowed to, at the request of the trustee, you can get any amount for health, any amount for maintenance, and any amount for just support. So education is also part of the thing. It's called health, education, maintenance, and support. So education, unless at age 75 you want to go get another PhD, you can't use the money for education. However, health, maintenance, and support, which is fairly liberal, allows you to get enough money out of a slat. I may or may not cover CLATs. If we have enough time, I can show you a little clip on the CLAT, which is called a charitable lead annuity trust. And this is a very clever way to bypass uh, income taxes over a long period of time and leave assets to the family, significant amount of assets to the family, but it blends philanthropy with estate tax efficiency. And for today, it's like drinking from the fire hose. Some of these concepts are 1 hour topics by themselves. So we can always go deeper. I'm happy to be invited back later in the year, maybe the fourth quarter, for a deeper dive into some of these concepts. Or Suresh Somisetti can also tell you how to get some of this additional information one on one. By the way, again, once again, it's not a pitch. Suresh Somisetti can arrange a 30-minute or 45-minute one-on-one if something needs a deeper dive into a specific concept. Grads, Zuckerberg created a grad for his child in vitro, which means the child was not even born. But as soon as the social security number became available, he transferred a significant amount of wealth, not the 44 billion that he gave away to a private trust, which is the genesis of what is called as the Giving Tuesday after Cyber Monday. He matches whatever nonprofits can raise, he matches that. So the GRAT is called a Grantor Retained Annuity Trust. Why is it important and who can use it? If somebody is already finished using their lifetime exemption, which is $15 million, dollars, and they have no place to hide, the GRAT can become quite useful. There's four letters in a GRAT. It's GRAT. Sam Walton of the Walmart empire was the first one to create the GRAT, and the IRS disallowed it, and he took them to court and he won it. So it became what is called as the Walton GRAT. But any number of wealthy individuals use GRATs to their advantage. I'll give you a very simple example. I myself have a GRAT where I populated the GRAT with $500,000, and I also have a startup. So the $500,000 goes into the startup, and the startup might have a 20x or 30x or 50x exit at some future point in time. So the $500,000, I'm using my own example, the $500,000 in the GRAT, I can put it in the GRAT. My children would be the beneficiaries of the GRAT at the end of the GRAT period, which is 10 years. But what does the GRAT allow me to do? Rather, I set it up. Uh, my children have to pay me 10% over the next 10 years. So that's 50,000 plus reasonable interest. So I get my 500,000 back. But if the GRAT could go one of two ways, 19 out of 20 startups fail. So if I'm not in the 5%, and the value of the startup went from $500,000 to 50,000 or $100,000, nobody made any money. But I get my 500,000 back because my children have to give me $50,000 plus reasonable interest. And this is the boring stuff. The IRS publishes what is called as a 75/20 rate, which is the applicable federal rate for intra-family wealth transfers, and currently it's at 4.6%. So 50,000 plus 4.6%, I get paid back. But at the end of 10 years, if the GRAT is worth, instead of half a million, if it's worth 5 million, guess what? It's not in my estate. And that's what Zuckerberg did. So if you do a little chat GPT on the Zuckerberg GRAT, it'll tell you how the GRATs work. All of that appreciation is going to go to the heirs, which is the beneficiaries, at no additional cost to you. It's outside your estate. They own the assets, and it's a great way to deal with it. So there's all kinds of trusts. There's charitable remainder trust, there's grants, there's family limited partnerships. All of these do one thing and one thing only. They are efficient ways for wealth transfer to the next generation. And that's what it is. And for those that are listening in and saying, this is all good, but I'm not there yet, What can I do in the meanwhile while I'm an accumulator? I'm not about to distribute my assets. We can certainly talk about those as well. We can talk about Roth IRAs where you can invest in a Roth if you're in your 30s or 40s, and all of that money will come to you tax free on the back end, right? So the what is called as the what Trump calls as the one big beautiful bill, because with Trump everything is huge or everything is big. So the one big beautiful bill has had several changes to it, too detail oriented for us to carry every single point of the one big beautiful bill. But the most important thing is it's allowed every taxpayer to at least use up to $15 million of their assets and put it in a trust. So if somebody has not 15 million, but just say 5 or 10 million, you still want to put away to 20% to 40% of that money in a irrevocable trust. And I'm getting feedback. Yeah, okay. Now it stopped. Just 1 second, please. Just take a little hydration break.
In the meantime, if anybody has any questions, please post them in the chat and they'll be presented in order to the speaker. Thank you.
Oh, that's a that's the advantage of taking a break. You get somebody to give that opportunity. Yes, please do put it in the chat. We're about 55 minutes into our discussions. For the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'll officially take a break and address questions rather than make it very monotonous and just keep speaking forever. So the point here is that the one big beautiful bill has many different aspects to it, along with what is called as the Secure Act 2.0. Uh, and for those that are uh, more older, like myself, I'm 65 now. There's something called required minimum distributions. Uh, you which you have to start taking at 72. But if you're charitably inclined, you can give away $100,000 or more, 102,000 actually for adjusted for inflation, directly to a charity, and you don't have to pay taxes on it. Why is that important? So let's say you've had the fortune of owning the Magnificent Seven in an IRA for a very long time, and your cost basis is say ten or $15,000, and it's grown to $150,000 over the last 15 years. Your cost is only 10, but if you took out the money as a distribution, you pay taxes on the 150 or $200,000. But if you gave away $100,000 to the charity, you don't have to pay taxes. So a lot of people or CPAs don't know that. And it's important to kind of look at every way in which you can save taxes. So, one of the things, and I'm going to shift to the business owner. So, for those of you in the uh, uh, meeting today that is a big owner, a business owner, uh, you could actually reduce your taxes by almost 50%. And there is a concept which I'd like to talk about. It's called the managed service organization. Most of the business owners have an operating company, and the operating company is usually an LLC or an S Corp. Most business owners, small business owners, I call them independent business owners because sometimes the small business owners are really not that small, they're pretty big. So if you have a company and you have an S Corp, there is something called a managed service organization we can actually create an MSO, which is a C Corp, rather than an S Corp. And the C Corp can provide services to the S Corp. And this is a specialized CPA that can do this. Uh, S Corp is the one which can create a W 2 or a K1, and everything flows through the S Corp. But you could also potentially create a C Corp, which is owned by the S Corp owners, and you can create an operating agreement between the MSO, which is a managed service organization. For example, many uh, business owners also own significant real estate, but they never pay themselves any fees for serving that, real estate. So I myself, for example, have some real estate, but what about the time that I spend acquiring the real estate, maintaining the real estate? The IRS actually allows you, and this is an example of avoiding taxes, not evading taxes. I can charge a reasonable fee as long as it's reasonable for all the real estate ventures that are held through the C Corp. So I could actually get paid for my time and effort, and you can charge a management fee. So not every CPA does this. There are CPA firms that create a managed service organization because it's riddled with a lot of law, just like a defined benefit plan or a plan that requires a lot of compliance because everything is compliance oriented. You need a specialist CPA, and I know any number of CPA firms that specialize in setting up an MSO. So, why is it important? Because above $490,000, you're taxed at the highest tax rate, which is 37%. The C corporation, on the other hand, only pays 21% flat taxes. But a lot of S Corp owners are struggling with it, and they're figuring out how to buy uh, a 5,000 pound vehicle so they can write away taxes. At the end of the year, they go and buy a big car. But how many big cars can you own? One or two, right? I mean, and it has to be a Hummer type of a vehicle or a big, big, big vehicle to avoid the taxes. That's not the way. And then there's other methods out there. There's what is called as a short-term rental. So everybody is now trying to buy an Airbnb property so they can accelerate the tax write-off. What they don't know is that Airbnbs without the HOA are the ones that are allowed in a short-term rental. And now everybody is also getting into these conservation easements or charitable deductions where you get three times or five times and all of that. I have to tell you that 100% of those will be challenged, and sooner or later the IRS will shut them down. Like every big thing that's being abused, the IRS eventually shuts it down. So there's an offer and compromise. So they say you'll get five times the deduction. And 3 years later, with the offer and compromise, they'll say, oh, we didn't get five times, we got two times. So now you're stuck with the money in something which is a charitable easement, land easement, and so on and so forth. Why am I saying that? Well, the MSO doesn't have to get into all that. If you're looking to save 20% in taxes and you're a business owner, you could potentially set up an MSO and shift all the earnings above the $490,000 into an MSO, essentially giving you a 16% tax advantage. So you actually end up saving quite a bit. Again, I want to remind everybody that this is a lot of, nitty gritty things that we're talking about, somewhat complex. Be happy to send this deck over to Suresh Somisetti, who can further distribute it out. because just looking at it for the first time, you're thinking, what's going on here? I mean, if you're trying to do the math in your head, it's not going to make sense. You have to really get down to it. But what I want to tell you is that the MSO is a structure which, if you're an S Corp owner, you could potentially create a C Corp and you can shift the tax burden to the C Corp and take all kinds of other deductions at the C Corp, and whatever is retained, you only pay 21% taxes, not 37. So that's the main point I was trying to make. So here's an example of what would happen if there's a real estate loan and the amount of income required to pay the principal can go down because the C Corp is at 21%, whereas the S Corp is 40.8%. That's the top rate. Anybody who has $4 million or higher in net income could potentially get significant amount of tax savings if you're an S corp. Again, I'm sensitive to the fact that a lot of the people on the call here may say, "Hey, why are we talking about all these big numbers? It doesn't apply to me." Yes, it doesn't apply to you. But if you're in a situation where you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to exit, or you have an operating income and you end up paying $500,000 of taxes with a this should be gross income. I'm sorry, not net income. Uh, you can still save $200,000 to $500,000 in taxes as opposed to paying those taxes. So that's what I want to talk about. So I want to bring this back to the real issue here. How can you transform the financial landscape? uh, you start with the purpose, and the products will reveal themselves. So when we looked at the very first few slides, we talked about investment products. The product can reveal itself. It's really, the purpose and the process. And I have to tell you, when I first started 35 years ago, it was always about the product. My goal in 1990, when I joined American Express, that's the first company I started working with, was to figure out how I can offer a particular product to a client. And it was not completely self serving. It still helped the client because they needed to figure out which mutual fund to buy, or what they could do with some of their money for education or retirement. So products are important. I'm not saying products are not. Then after 10 or 15 years in the business, I said, let me come up with a process. So I created what is called as Wealth DNA, and I made it a registered service mark through the US Patent Office. So Wealth DNA is my intellectual property, and I created this process. So I thought, hey, now that I have a process, I could do really well in serving my clients. Guess what? After another 15 or 20 years, now 35 years into the business, I think what is even more important than product or process is purpose. So, how do you really create a plan that is not only tax efficient but can serve intergenerationally and yet give you an unfair advantage and a superpower? And that superpower is called getting tax control, or not paying taxes to the extent you can avoid the taxes. You can make more money saving taxes than you can by making more money. I'll say that one more time. You can make more money saving taxes than you can by making more money. Making more money in the Magnificent Seven is easy. What about the taxes that have to be paid, right? So that's where we could do differently. So life insurance is another area. Most of you need it for survivor income, but if you're at a point in time in life where you have significant wealth, you can be self insured. You don't really need life insurance. So we don't sell life insurance anymore as a term insurance or something which everybody owns for replacing wealth if the breadwinner passes away. And you see it all the time where there isn't a life insurance and then there is a go to fund because the breadwinner passed away and now the family has not done enough planning. So it's important. But the type of life insurance we're talking about is how do you avoid estate taxes in the future? Does life insurance solve that problem? Life insurance, unfortunately, is not free. It's a black box. Hardly anybody understands it. But I can tell you that really it's the triple play. It's like a Swiss Army knife of tax planning. You can use it to your advantage, but you have to be careful about life insurance because over a very long period of time, it's a lousy investment. It doesn't give you back an advantage unless somebody volunteers to die early. So, inappropriately used, it can really bleed you. So, both Suresh and I are advanced implementers of life insurance in trusts. Used properly, it can really be to your advantage, right? So, that's what I want to talk about. I think I'm kind of out of tricks. I may bring up another slide, but I welcome questions at this time from anybody on any topic. And if I don't know the answer, you'll have to give me 5 minutes because I'll use Chat GPT to look it up. So Praveen Garu or anybody who is in charge of allowing people to.
What's this Swiss Army knife of planning? What does it mean?
Well, a Swiss Army knife is just a way of saying it can do many things. A Swiss Army knife is marketed as a tool for the Boy Scouts. It has
No, 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 all that. No, no, no. I just need financially what it means.
okay, it's a metaphor for saying it can, be used for opening a can or cutting something
No, no,
or
no, 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 no. What it means, like knife of a tax planning. Please understand. Okay, we all have very very limited time here. Life insurance. You said Swiss Army knife of tax planning.
it
Give
can do
me like
multiple things.
one, two, three items as to
Okay,
what the Swiss Army knife of planning means.
okay. I'll take 2 minutes to explain.
Please.
Okay. I'll use a real life example. So we have many clients. We have a client who has put money in an irrevocable trust. Why did he put it in an irrevocable trust for the benefit of his children? Because he wants to avoid taxes. So let's say they put $2 million of their wealth, and let's assume that their wealth was 5 to 10 million. So they put 2 million that they don't need today in an irrevocable trust. The irrevocable trust is really money given away to the trust. They can't use it, or they don't want to use it. They'll use it for the future. What they can do is they can leverage that trust. That trust can actually invest in the Magnificent Seven. And let's assume that it makes 10 or 15%. So if it made 10%, that's $200,000. If they took half of that and they used $100,000 of that $200,000 of earnings, they could go get a $5 to $10 million life insurance policy that pays not at the first death, but at the second death. That's called survivorship insurance. When we're in the business of selling life insurance for estate planning, we sell survivorship. It doesn't pay at the first death. It's almost 40% of tax saving, cost savings when you buy insurance for survivorship as opposed to the first death. If both spouses pass away at age 85, you got $5 more million that came from the trust. So the metaphor of the Swiss Army knife is, hey, I have a trust, the money is accumulating there, it's for my great grandchildren or my grandchildren, it's not even for my children, I'm going to bypass the children. How can I leverage that and create more money out of osmosis? That's what I mean. And I'm sorry that I'm using all these metaphors that don't make any sense. You're absolutely right. I have to be careful of saying, referring to the Swiss Army. The Swiss Army is.
Exactly, osmosis. Okay, that I don't understand that from
Okay.
the financial point of view.
We'll take it offline, sir, because
No,
I
that's
don't
okay.
want
That's okay. Use. So I I appreciate if you can use some
to.
words
Okay.
which
Your
actually
point is well
make
taken.
sense so that I can understand. See. I'm here to understand this stuff, right? I mean, I've been here for the last 1 hour, and then I'm just thinking about when you're saying Swiss Army, osmosis, all this stuff. I'm not able to understand.
No, Sai, I think we get your point. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Did you have any other questions, Sai?
Yes, I
We
do.
can go to the next
Um,
speaker.
Let's do one thing, Praveen. Let's give choice to everyone because I wanted to make sure that we utilize this time.
oh yeah, they're going to ask the same question: osmosis and Swiss Army. Then what are you going to do?
Yeah,
I will
so
avoid
let's
using
move
those
on.
terms.
No, no. The
Okay,
point is,
let's
can
move
you
on.
I
please
have a
tell me
different
in
question.
layman terms
Okay, so
Let's
what
sorry,
Go
let's
ahead.
move
exactly?
Go
on to a
ahead.
different question.
No, that's
Sorry.
okay.
Next
That's okay.
question.
All right. All right. All right.
Let's move on to
I'm
the
gonna
next question.
I'm
Yes.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
just shut up. Okay. Bye.
Shekhar Garu, thank you for all the information. But one question I have is like for an employee who may not be making millions and millions,
Sure.
like, does the trust make sense?
No, no. The employee, for the employee, you have to create plans where you could create a non-qualified deferred compensation, which many large multinational corporations do. But even smaller corporations can do that, and
I mean, what's
smaller
the
corporations can do what we call as non-qualified deferred compensation. There's a code section called section 162. You could do executive compensation. So, but there's many ways in which you can help the employee with a 401k matching, which could be just 3%. But there's several ways in which an employee can benefit from a corporation's generosity, and that's what it is. But if the employee has other money that, maybe there is a 401k, now they allow the Roth 401k. So you could create a Roth 401k instead of a regular 401k, because if the employee is just putting away, let's just say $2,000 or $5,000, the taxes on that is so insignificant. You would want to educate the employee and say, hey, consider putting it in a Roth 401k instead of a regular 401k. So the $2,000 then can be managed aggressively, and it avoids, if the employee is only 40 years old and they start taking money at age 72, that 30-year runway will avoid hundreds of $1,000s of taxes.
what are the limits for the Roth? Are there any
20
limits?
27,000 including or 30,000 this year including employer matching. So 21,000 used to be the limit for the employee, and the employer can match up to $7,000. I'll have to look up the exact limits. Every year it goes up. Last year it was 27,000.
That's Roth and 401k regular
All
together?
all all of it put together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah.
great. Thank you. I think we have Suresh Velupala. Please ask your question, sir.
Um, yeah, thanks for all the wealth of information here. I really appreciate it. Um, I have a question about 401k and 529 plans. Okay. So 401k, so I'm a W-2 employee, so have some money accumulated over the years in 401k. Should I consider transferring it to something else? For the 401k, And the second question is the 529. What is the best way to use this 529? My kids are not, they are coming up to college age. I haven't used that money yet, but 529. So I just need some little
Sure.
little guidance. That's it. Thank
Great.
you.
Happy to help you, Suresh. And if we are not able to within 4 or 5 minutes get to all your points, just text Suresh Somisetti and we'll can give you, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it takes, specific advice. So there were two questions really. One was, should you continue the 401k? Absolutely, you should, because that's important. Retirement savings is very important, right? Should you, what should you do with the 529? My suggestion is if you can avoid using up to $30,000, and this is under the Secure Act 2.0, up to $30,000 of your 529 plan can actually be converted for your children into a Roth IRA. Now, if you can afford not using up to $30,000 for which was earmarked for college, you can actually give it to them as a gift at age 25. Imagine the power of giving. It doesn't have to be all 30,000, but let's say you give away $10,000 of that as a Roth IRA at age 25 for your son or daughter, and they put it in the Magnificent Seven. It can go to 50% of the value, like a Tesla, but or an Nvidia with a maximum volatility. The VIX index is all over the place with these stocks. But if you put it in the triple Q, which is the top 100 stocks, 35% of the S&P is the Magnificent Seven right now. But if you just stuck it in there and it's a Roth IRA and it compounded for 30 years, the math will look like science fiction. And I apologize if I'm using all these metaphors, but what I really mean is that that number
I
will be
understand.
seven figures. That 30,000 will be over $1 million. Just do the math.
Yeah. Okay.
Compounded at 15 or 20%.
So my real question about 401k is should we be taking it out from the existing balances?
Depends on your individual. Didn't mean to cut you off, Suresh, but depends on your individual circumstances. The 401k, if you leave the employer, many times you leave it in the same allocation. You should not. You should roll it into an IRA and then possibly consider, depending on your individual situation, consider a Roth IRA. Pay the taxes now. Think about it this way. Would you rather pay taxes on the seed or the harvest? If the seed costs you $20,000 today, but the harvest would have to be paying taxes on $500,000 later, 25 years from now. The taxes on the harvest is $100,000 or $150,000. The taxes on the seed is $4,000. So you have a $490,000 savings.
Yeah. Thank you. Hopefully that answers your question, Suresh. So we can go to next in line. We had a question from Vinod. Are you still on? If not, Suresh Chapadi, your turn, please.
Oh, thank you, Praveen. Thank you, Shreya. One question regarding the MSO. There was a great point I've never got into the thing. Most of our alumni have more than one small business or several LLCs. How can they structure that with the MSO one? Is it a one-to-one or it can be many-to-one?
No, one MSO serves all of those entities.
Perfect. Okay.
But it costs money. So there is a cost benefit analysis to be done, Suresh Garu. And again, we can take it offline depending on individual. This forum is not to discuss individual numbers for privacy reasons. But uh, if the numbers make sense, because it can cost $30,000 to $50,000 to set up the MSO in year one and ongoing maintenance, because it's very compliance driven. You need a specialized CPA firm to do it. But we've seen hundreds of thousands of dollars of savings uh, because of setting up the MSO, and it's completely legal. The IRS has this code for the last 50 years. Hardly anybody uses it.
Great. Thank you, sir.
There is a question from Uma T from the chat. Uma, go ahead, please.
Yeah, hi. I have a question. So first, so if you so between 401k and the new one that you mentioned, I again forgot the name. 401k Roth, right? Is that correct? 401k
Oh,
Roth.
yeah, a lot of employers allow
Yes, correct.
401k Roth. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would put my money and suffer paying the taxes now. If the Roth option is open, I would take the Roth all day long.
Okay, I see. I see. Especially if you have a decent 401k already,
Yeah.
right? And the intent is to continue max contribution. So you are suggesting go bifurcate that into 401k Roth, right? That's what you're saying.
The only qualifier in your statement by editing that is it depends on your individual circumstances. You got to do the math on whether
Okay.
you absolutely need the deduction now or you can afford to pay the taxes and not take the deduction now.
Okay.
Based on your individual circumstances, it's highly recommended
Yeah.
that you Roth instead of the regular. And also, if you have a significant IRA from a previous employer,
Yeah.
you should consider systematically tax loss harvesting. So you offset some of the taxes each year and then
Uh-huh.
converting an appropriate amount, anything above the tax bracket creep of 24%. If you can stay under that, you could potentially convert that to a Roth and before the law changes and it's taken away completely, because we used to have something called a stretch IRA. And
Yeah.
again, I apologize to gentlemen like Sai who don't like me to use jargon. It used to be called stretch
Hey,
IRA.
hey, 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 don't use me again.
No, no, I won't. I won't. And your point. The only thing I will tell you is that every single
We'll have a
time I
very
see,
legitimate question later. So
yeah, yeah.
continue.
Yeah, I learned from you, who I consider very important because it's about you, it's not about me. So if I can avoid that, I will. But the stretch IRA was a coined term. What it meant was that you could make your grandchildren the beneficiary of your IRA instead of your spouse, and it was based on uniform life expectancy table. So if you were required to take out 4 or 5%, somebody who's in their 20s is only required to take 1/10 of 1%. So you could actually compound that money intergenerationally forever. The
Hmm.
stretch IRA is killed now, it's not there anymore. And now you have to distribute all your IRAs within 10 years. So if
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
somebody passes away, their beneficiaries have to, not the spouse, but their children have to distribute all of that, which means you know, you could have significant sums of money in there, and all those taxes have to be paid within 10 years under Secure Act 2.0.
Right.
So the
Okay.
stretch is gone. The stretch is gone. That's the
Yeah.
only part I said, let me use the word stretch cautiously.
Okay.
It's like a rubber band. There's no more stretch allowed. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
there's
Thank
a
you.
there's a follow-up question from Kamal.
So
Please,
one quick thing. So if I have to speak to you offline, I reach out to somebody, you said, right? So
Suresh Somiseti.
Suresh. Okay.
the
Suresh, can
number
you
is
put
in the
your chat in the chat,
Okay.
the number so that they get it?
Okay, I'll
yeah,
do that. Thank you so much.
the
Yeah,
number is
because
already in the
I'm
chat.
not part of JNTU directly, but because of Suresh's invitation to speak today, I'm happy to be on this forum. Yeah.
Sure. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Appreciate
By
it.
the way, quick FYI, everybody. There is a feedback form. You can post your questions in there as well, and the team can get back to you. Okay, please. That would be a more structured way of doing it rather than posting it. If you have a longer term consultation type thought process at this moment, we have a follow up question from Kamal. Can you please ask? Is there a way to avoid paying taxes on the Roth conversion? That was a question from Kamal.
No, you pay the taxes. Yeah, you to avoid it, You can subsidize it by tax loss harvesting. So you take the winners and the losers, or you take some of the losers. And there are other ways. There's look up Chat GPT, look up 45X. 45X is tax credits or tax subsidies in the energy sector today. Solar has made a big comeback of late. Biden started solar credits and the Chinese killed the US market, but Trump came back and said no more. Just like Trump's policies, the one good thing that he did is he said, no more Chinese manufacturers in the solar. But the 45X credits are available, and companies like First Solar, and in fact, I happen to know one, where you can get up to a 10% tax credit, which means if you owed 100, let's say you owed $50,000 to the IRS as taxes, you can actually write off 5,000, 10% in your pocket through 45X. This is a solar credit. So to answer your question, Praveen, on behalf of anybody who asked it, there's always a stepping stone, and it's like layers of complex tax laws that one who is aware of it can benefit from. And unfortunately, most CPA firms file your taxes, they don't reduce your taxes. So a CPA is like a rear view mirror bus driver. They're going to look at what happened in the last 12 months as opposed to forward looking, how can I save taxes? To answer your question, Praveen, there are ways, but not directly. The short answer is you convert to Roth, you pay the taxes now, but it's still worth it.
Yep, and there's a follow-up from Kamal. His audio line is broken. Wondering if charitable contributions will help in this area.
Absolutely. I happen to be an expert, and if you will indulge me, if I can just pull up something, I created this. Let me see if I can do this.
Yeah, while you're pulling up, Kumar, you're next in line with a question, so feel free to
Yeah,
be ready.
actually,
Yeah.
this is a follow-up question, Shekhar Garu, regarding the Roth IRA, moving from either 401k or SEP IRA. But so the tax what you pay today is I have to come up with my pocket, from my pocket, other pocket, not from the same amount. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
you
So,
do,
so
but
it,
the
yeah.
benefits are immense.
Right. Again, that is also depends on the age group that you recover that tax you pay today is not. So it depends on how it works on.
Yeah, all of that is individual consideration, but at the end of the day, what you really want to find out is how can I optimize, if that's a word that I can use, my taxes. Optimization simply means you just run some simulations and you, based on the best desired outcome, can I reduce my taxes? Every dollar that I reduce in my taxes is worth 40%. So it's like getting a 40% return on your investment. If you can save 40% in taxes, that's like a 40% return on your investment, is it not?
Yeah, today we pay at the highest whatever the bracket we are in, but we end up losing that money today. But it after 7 years, you may save taxes or appreciation, whatever it is. And just a follow-up question is, suppose as you said, I have NVIDIA, I have a Tesla, and so when you convert, it's not that you sell and move the cash there. Is that correct? You move the stock.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, again, individual circumstances. If
No,
you
no,
have
no.
a real example,
Suppose I have a Tesla and an Nvidia, just for your own examples, right? And let's say 100 shares each. I want to move into today some value is there, but I want to move into Roth IRA. Is that just move those two stocks there, or do I have to sell today and may take that money and move into our Roth IRA and buy again?
Kumar
What?
Garu, I'll explain. I'll explain. Is the Nvidia and the Tesla in the IRA today?
Not in IRA, in let's say my 401k or SEP
No.
IRA.
Yeah, you can't. You cannot do it. So there's a step
Oh,
to it. It's very simple. First step is if you have an IRA and your employer may not allow individual stocks in your 401k, you could create a self-directed IRA and you can put anything you want in it. But stocks like Nvidia and Tesla, which are listed securities, you can directly buy in your IRA and then convert it to Roth. It's called a backdoor conversion.
It's okay. So I have a SEP IRA, for example. I just
Yeah.
quoted 401k. But
Yeah.
then do I just move that stock into the Roth IRA? Is that correct?
You have to own those stocks in the SEP IRA. So whatever
Let's say I do, for example.
you can convert that to a Roth IRA. You terminate the SEP IRA, you convert the SEP IRA into an IRA, then you convert the IRA into a Roth IRA. All or
Okay.
a portion of it.
But
All
I can
or-
do partly also. I don't have
Yeah.
to terminate the SEP IRA. Is that correct?
You're absolutely right. You're
Yeah.
answering your own question and you are 100% right.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, it's just there is I think Sai is one of our senior alumni. He raised his hand. He's showing up his hand.
Yeah, I'm not that
Sai, go
senior,
ahead,
man.
Sai.
I'm not that senior. You know, you there are a lot of
Yeah.
other seniors.
Okay, baby, go ahead, Sai.
Hey, very informative. I've been patiently listening and everything. My question is here, with respect to 401k and Roth IRA. Okay, 401k, I understand because there is matching contribution, and it behooves on somebody if they have to contribute like 10,000, 15,000 a month. I mean, a year, and then it's matching, from their the employee. I understand that. Uh, Roth IRA, there is no matching. So I don't understand that. I haven't understood that for a long time because, first of all, it's coming out of your after tax, right? Why would you put after tax into Roth IRA rather than taking it and putting it in stocks or some other high yield investments by yourself? That's my first question. If you can answer that first question, then there is one follow up after that.
Very simple. You actually answered it yourself. You should be as aggressive as you can in the Roth IRA
Why?
because if it, let's say you put it in the Magnificent Seven today, and let's say the taxes
No, no,
on
no. I'm not going to put it in the Magnificent Seven. I'm going to put it outside the stock, completely outside. I'm going to put it somewhere else where it's going to give me more.
what's
Why
the
should I
difference?
be tied to this, whatever you call magnificent? I mean, first
No,
of
no,
all, I
no,
have a
no.
problem
All
with
I
that
meant is
Magnificent Seven.
aggressive. Let's not call it Magnificent Seven. Let's call it hyper growth.
Yeah,
Right?
so wherever we're going to put it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a ticker symbol that you have in mind? Take
No,
whatever you can.
no. It's real estate.
Yeah, well, then it's not the best thing unless the real estate gives you a cap rate of 20%.
It gives me more than that.
Okay, then put it in there and you can do it through what is called as NDTCO. Look
No, no,
up.
no. It's not about that. My point is, why sell a Roth IRA as
Listen,
adding to
I
it?
got to say this, right? I'm
Yeah.
not trying to convince anybody on this forum to do one thing or another. It's
No, I'm not
completely.
saying that. I'm asking you only one thing. Please understand my question. My question is, why Roth IRA?
Okay. If you are getting
It's after tax
specific.
dollars.
Yeah, right. I'll answer your question.
Please.
Just pick up a number between 5 and 25%. Just make up a number on your real estate investments. What's your
No, no, no.
average
Forget about
return?
my real estate investment. All I'm saying is,
No, I'm asking you a
why?
question. Can you please answer the question?
No, all I'm saying is, why Roth IRA?
I'll answer the question, but can you answer my question?
Yes,
What
sure.
is the rate of return that you expect over a long period of time from the somewhere else that you said, right? Somewhere else. You're going to invest somewhere else. What's the annual rate of return?
Same as whatever you're promising me.
I'm not promising you anything. Let's not
Yeah,
play
Sai,
games.
just pick a number. If not, let's take this.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll
okay,
pick a
okay,
number for
Take it
okay.
you.
There's
offline.
no
You
point in
said
debating
I'll
here.
I'll pick a number for you. Let's
Go
say
ahead.
you made 15% a year on managing
Or maybe
whatever.
zero. No, maybe zero.
Okay, so
I
so
just
let's
want to
do
give.
this.
Let's
One
take this
second.
My
offline. Let's
point
take
is,
this offline, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, let us. Yeah, let me moderate the call. There are a lot more questions coming in.
sir,
Sai,
I'm
looks like you
asking
have.
why Roth RA.
So Sai,
I'll
Yeah,
explain. I'll just take 30 seconds to
okay,
explain.
go ahead,
Yeah,
Shekhar.
why
Let's
Roth
wrap this
RA?
up.
I'll explain. I'll explain. I'll explain.
Why Roth IRA?
Why Roth IRA? Because if you had to pay taxes today, let's say the tax is paid, and let's not worry about how I came up with the number. Let's say you had to pay taxes of $10,000 today on a $50,000 IRA. I would pay the $10,000 out of my pocket and suffer that for the moment, temporarily, short term pain. Long term, the $50,000 that I had in my IRA, if I converted it to Roth, assuming a 10% or better return, 20%, whatever, you said you can earn significantly. After
No,
20
zero.
years, let me complete, sir. Let me complete. After 20 years, you do the math on an Excel spreadsheet and see how much more money you would have made with the Roth IRA conversion. Do that exercise and then get back to us and say, okay, I think just put it in chat GPT. Your question, it's the very same question you're
Hmm.
asking me. Just put it in chat GPT, and I think you will get a very compelling reason why it should be Roth. That's
I
my
I
have
think
Yeah,
answer.
Shekhar
thank.
Garu, I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
just want to interrupt. I think if I understand his question, Sai's question is why Roth IRA? I think after 7 years of time frame, you said that if you leave the money there and the growth, whatever the growth is happened, let's say today's Tesla 500, it becomes let's say 2000 and 3 4 times folder, and that income, whatever your appreciation, is not taxable.
Correct.
So that's
Exactly.
what he. No, I think that's what is the Sai question. Is
yeah.
that correct, Sai?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's what he's trying to ask. Why we need
So
a
the
Roth IRA?
Roth IRA basically means that you won't pay any taxes on the appreciation. Is that
That
right?
that is right. That is correct. After certain period, there is a
5 years.
qualifying
5 years.
period.
After
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
okay.
what I
Anything is
understand is
anything appreciation is you don't pay any more taxes. Whereas your 401k or SEP, you are going to pay. That's
So
what I think
basically,
he's trying
okay.
to.
My only follow-up question, if I'm allowed to ask that, is so this is for guys who are like maybe 50, 55, 60. It doesn't really make sense. So is there an age where you are proposing this Roth IRA, or you're saying 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, guys will be better benefited by Roth IRA because it's better that instead of putting it outside and then they get returns and they have to pay taxes on the returns. Whereas if you put it in Roth IRA when you're in 30s, by 50 you get, in 20 years it's compounded and then you get the returns and you don't have to pay the appreciation on the returns. So there are different demographics here. So that's why I am trying to understand here as to uh, instead of having a blanketed proposal or recommendation, I'm saying if you are 30s or 20s or 50s or 40s, what is a recommended percentage of Roth
I'm going to
IRA?
interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt you. I think we're getting way into like left field here. I don't want to answer that question.
Again, you're talking about left field and right field and center
Okay,
Hold
so
field.
on,
let
hold
us.
on,
You're
hold
I'm not
on,
a
So
baseball
Shekhar
guy.
Garu.
I'm a cricket
Sorry,
guy.
guys. So
hold
let's
on,
stop
hold
here.
on,
We have
hold
Okay,
on.
But
one more
okay, I
person.
understand.
Sorry,
Okay,
so
no,
one
all
hold
I'm
on.
second,
We
saying
have
everybody,
is
please let us stop the conversation, please. Let me moderate the call. We have about six more questions. Let's
yes, sir.
continue.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Okay.
Harigaru, go ahead.
Okay, bye.
Please have your question, Harigaru.
Yes, I want to change the gear, Shaker here. So, for example, Mark Zuckerberg went to Singapore for his citizenship from US, and some of us may have international businesses. So, from a taxation point of view, again, it's a very generic question, but what is happening in today's market? Why people are going away from the US? if you could provide some high-level view on that so that we can have a follow-up in person.
Yeah. So, well, and Bill Gates said the same thing when he was sued for antitrust. He says, if you don't like me here, I can always move to Bengaluru. That's what he said, for tax purposes. So, moving to an offshore jurisdiction will allow avoiding US taxes, but unfortunately, it depends on situs. Income taxes are based on where you live for more than 180 days. For example, a lot of people move to Florida or Texas or no state tax. Like I myself maintain Florida residency, because as long as I'm outside of New Jersey for more than 182 days, I don't have to pay state taxes, state and local taxes. But international residency is based on where you actually live. And unfortunately for Mr. Zuckerberg, he's not going to avoid taxes, at least for estate planning purposes. He may be able to avoid, and I don't know the full circumstances, Harigaru, about his situation. But what I can tell you is that taxes are based on residency, income taxes, estate taxes are based on uh, citizenship. So it doesn't matter if you're a US citizen and you live in India for the rest of your life or somewhere else. Unfortunately, the US will bring you back unless you give up your US residency. And a lot of people sometimes are motivated because of FATCA or FBAR to completely give it up. I have a good friend, if you've heard the name Mofatlal. Mir Mofatlal is a good friend of mine. Uh, he gave up his green card. He never wanted to be a US citizen, but he gave up his green card and moved back to Zurich. Why? Because the US will tax you on estate taxes if you own anything. If you live here, you have to pay. If you own anything in the United States, you have to pay. US, by the way, just so you know on that point, Harigaru, a lot of Swiss banks have quietly established a presence in Nevada, Rothschild, Pictet, Fontabo. Why? Because the US is the only country in the world that wants the entire world to comply with CSR, which is CRS, which is, you know, common reporting standards. But the US does not comply with the rest of the world. So if you actually have assets in the United States, you don't have to report it if you're a Swiss citizen in the United States. So all these Swiss banks are now becoming US banks with offices in Nevada. And there's always uh, all this other tax havens like Grand Cayman and Belize and Liechtenstein and all of that. And Modi's version of that to attract US investors is Ahmedabad Gift City. So a lot of funds are creating their structures in gift cities. I know of one hedge fund that is now incorporated with the SEC, but is also duly registered with the gift city. Again, we're going a little bit off the
Yes.
topic, but I think you get a sense of the answer.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Shekhar.
Yeah. Next question is from Ranjit. Hopefully that answers your question, Harigaru. We
Yes.
can move to.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Ranjit, please go ahead with your question.
Thanks, Shekhar Garu. It was a very good information. I have a question regarding the Roth IRA. I know we have a limits as per the income. It could
Yeah.
be like 7,000, 8,000 per year.
Yes.
But I've seen on online YouTubes they're talking about backdoor and mega Roth. These are all confusing. So how? I mean, can we really put like 50K,
Yeah,
100K?
I got your question. Yeah, so the contribution to an active IRA is based on your income, and there's a phase out. I don't know the numbers, but anything above 150 or 200, you can't put money in the Roth. But if you have an existing IRA, there is no limit to converting the existing IRA. Now, you can put money in an IRA on December 31st in a regular IRA, and convert it on January 2nd to the back. It's called a backdoor conversion. So there's no limit to converting the Roth. There is a limit to contributing to the Roth. So new contributions are what they're talking about, the limit. So when you're talking about backdoor conversion, there's no limit. I could have $1 million in an IRA, which is a 401k rollover from a previous employer. I can convert 100% of that.
So this, you said it has to happen on December, before
No, no, no,
December.
no, no. I just used that as an example. I
Okay.
prefer the conversion in the beginning of the year because when you convert in the first or second week of January, the taxes for that are due the following April. So you have 15 months of runway. So anytime you consider converting, you would want to convert in the new year.
Okay, so any income after paid taxes, I can put it in IRA and move it to Roth IRA as much as I want.
You can't put everything in your IRA. IRAs come from either putting your 7,000 or if you're over 50 catch-up contributions. That's number one. The only other way where you get to large IRAs is previous employers' 401k get rolled over into an IRA.
Okay, but I can do also my personal also, right?
Yeah, you can do personal,
Other than
subject to
rollover.
limitations. Yeah, subject to limits. Yeah.
What is the, I mean, what are the limitations?
I believe 8,000 now. We can look that up.
Oh, that's the only thing. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We have another question from, we don't have a name. It says iPhone. Whoever had a question
Yeah.
on the chat. Go
Hi.
ahead.
Namaskar, Mandi. Thank you for the valuable information. So, if I'm going to get my citizenship in the next 8 months, and before doing that, if there's some investment properties in India, right? So, is there any steps I need to take care? Majority is disclosed, one or two are not disclosed. Is there anything which you need to take care of before becoming a citizen?
Okay, tip number one, never discuss anything like that on a forum like this. Not disclosed. I didn't hear that. Whatever, everything is disclosed as far as the IRS is concerned. You're expected to disclose it on your FATCA. But it does not make a difference as to citizenship, non-citizenship. It's what is called as domicile or situs. For you, you have to report any income over $10,000 on your FATCA by whenever you file your taxes. That's number one. Also, number two, just so you understand, the United States uh, taxes everybody on global income. So it's voluntary. I would ask your CPA how to best handle that, but I would also suggest that there's no such term as disclosed and non-disclosed. There is a better term. I will call it Rama or Krishna. So Rama is whatever, Krishna is different color.
Understood. Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. From regarding the 10,000, I think that the 10,000 is the actual investment, like not investment, but the
Could be.
balances on
Could
your
be.
account.
I'm not an expert in that actually, but
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. That's a CPA question,
Right.
accounting
Okay.
question, not, I'm not an expert in that area. I'm not a international tax practitioner.
Yeah, from a time point of view, we just have a few minutes to wrap up. I think we can take one or two last questions. Satya Kamineni, question from you.
హలో గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ ఆల్ నా క్వశ్చన్ ఏంటంటే ఐ హ్యావ్ ఎ ట్రెడిషనల్ 401k అకౌంట్ అండ్ ఇఫ్ ఐ ఓపెన్ Roth 401k account and can I move the outstanding amount from 401 traditional account to Roth 401 account or
Are
is
you
there any
are you
tax implications?
self-employed? Are you self-employed or are you dependent on the 401k for a multinational corporation employment?
Yeah, dependent on a multinational. I work for Chase.
Yeah. For who?
Chase Bank.
Yeah, if Chase Bank offers a 401k Roth, you can, but you can take your active 401k and convert it to any other place as long as you're in active employment.
Okay.
Look at your summary plan description. Does Chase allow 401k Roths. If they do, then you certainly can participate in that. But it depends on the Chase plan.
Got
Okay.
it. Yeah, thank you.
I know you asked the question, Shekhar Garu, is it SEP or employer dependent? What if there is both?
Yeah. So if it is self-employment, if you're in charge of your own corporation, you can set up a 401k Roth instead of a 401k.
No, I think the question was, can we convert that 401k into Roth?
If
If
there's
you
a
have
SEP
a
IRA,
401k,
yeah.
if it's a 401k, you have to first of all, just remember that you cannot commingle and freely move from one to the other without establishing. So the step number one would be to establish. If you're self-employed, it's easier. If you're working for a multinational corporation, it's more dependent on their offer. So for if you're an independent business owner, you could have a 401k, you could have a 401k Roth, you can have a solo 401k if you don't have employees. There's a lot more possibilities.
If
So
there's
when
a SEP
we when
IRA, right?
so
If there
basically,
exists a SEP IRA, yeah.
No, it doesn't
Sai,
have to
let
be
me ask.
separate. There's
no,
two
no,
different
no.
things.
The question is, when we transfer from 401k to Roth, can we? What's the withdrawal penalties? Do they differ?
No withdrawal penalties. It's if you so let's be very careful about the terms we use. If you withdraw, you pay taxes. If you transfer, you do not. So withdrawal means it's a distribution or a redemption that generates what is called as a 1099-R, which is a
Right.
retirement distribution. I suddenly feel like I'm doing a CPA's job. I'm not, by the way, full disclosure.
I
I'm
know.
not a I'm not a CPA. I actually cannot practice accounting by law, but I'm answering your question. I would refer this to a CPA or ChatGPT. Trust me, you can get without hallucinations the answers.
Okay, so that was the
Got it.
last question.
Actually,
Thank you so much, Shekhar Garu. I would now request Sudhakar Garu, our Executive Vice President, to thank the guest speaker and summarize the conversation for us.
I will take 90 seconds. I just want to the earlier conversation on charitable trusts and how it can help mitigate taxes. I'm just going to, this is exactly 90 seconds, and after that, I will accept your thanks with gratitude also. Hold on.
Sure, go ahead, Shekhar.
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
by the way, it was very informative. Really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Common strategies for charitable planning all suffer the same major flaw. Wealth holders must choose between two opposing options. Making direct charitable gifts, which allows you to avoid estate taxes and earns an income tax break, but also effectively disinherits your heirs, or transferring that wealth to heirs, which cuts out your charitable interests and subjects your heirs to oppressive estate taxes. What if you could do both? What if your charities could receive the money you've earmarked for them while simultaneously using that same pool of money to establish a tax-free inheritance for your heirs and enjoy a large immediate tax break for yourself? With a charitable lead annuity trust, or CLAT, you can. In essence, a CLAT gives you your own personal charitable checkbook. With a CLAT, you put a lump sum charitable contribution into a trust, giving you an immediate tax break. However, because that lump sum is dispersed over time, a 20-year period, for example, it becomes principal that you invest and grow. Anything the trust earns from that principal may be passed on to your heirs, but is not subject to estate or income taxes. That makes CLATS a win for the family, a win for the charity, and a win for you. Interested in learning what a charitable lead annuity trust can do for you? Email, call, or visit Wealth Planning Advisory Group to set up a free consultation today to learn more.
Yeah. So, again, that's a longer topic. I'm only shameless plug here is that I'm a chartered advisor in philanthropy. So with my uh, subject matter expertise in that area. I can speak authoritatively on charitable planning. This is one of the tools that can be used to mitigate taxes for somebody who has high income taxes or is planning an exit. Please talk to Suresh Somisetti on how to go about doing that. Thank you.
Great. Sudhakar garu, go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you, Shekhar Garu, for sharing your wisdom and knowledge. It was really wealth of wisdom you shared with us. And definitely, I think there was some confusion. This is more about the wealth DNA, not as a CPA or like a
Happy
questions
to
with the
help.
tax.
But
But we are very happy that you are able to answer those questions. But I would prefer like ask all the members here or anyone to ask your CPA because those questions could be specific to your scenario. But definitely, it is very, very helpful. A lot of insights and of course, a lot of information to digest here, but it's a great start to think about how you can really manage your wealth or how you can really save the taxes. And I mean, in this session, I heard first time about number of trusts. I thought trust means trust. There's nothing more than that, but really there are so many varieties and variations of trust, and it's very good to know. And of course, we all know you are a really big help and you provide like a lot of support to the nonprofit organizations and not only just providing the help in the sense like donations and all, but you also provide a lot of like suggestions, guidance, and like TFS, you provide like financial advisory. So really appreciate all your help, Shekhar Garu, and thank you for coming to us and sharing all the knowledge with this team. And definitely we'll come back to you again. There could be, we may come back to you and ask for more questions or
anytime.
one other session. And thank you again for your presence here and making things like clear to us. Thank you.
Anytime, Sudhakar Garu and Hari Garu, it's always great to meet old friends in this forum. One thing I learned is I had no idea that both of you are also JNTU. They wouldn't let me into schools like that because my brain power was kind of limited. So I
It's
end
not
up
limited,
in
it's different. It's a
commerce,
different,
yeah,
different power.
business as
Yeah.
opposed to science, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
myself, Shekhar, myself, Harigaru, and Praveen, we are the founders.
oh wow.
We
Hats
are
off to you. Hats off to you. And look at what you've done. Suresh Garu had introduced me to a gentleman out of the West Coast, Paramesh Sini. I think he's traveling somewhere in Australia right now, so he couldn't be here. But we've had some very interesting conversations with him as well. But happy to help this group anytime, any place, and if there's any opportunity to do this in person, we'll be happy to do it for a group of people anywhere on in the United States. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, Shekhar. For all the members, really appreciate you joining and Happy New Year. Shekhar is a very credible, well-known person from our community, Telugu community. And
Thank,
please use his services. Suresh Somashetty can coordinate as needed. Thank you, Suresh, for bringing Shekhar here.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Praveen, back to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Harigaru, for that plug. Absolutely second what Harigaru said and Sudhakar Garu summarized. This has been a fantastic session. Very appreciative. And by the way, a lot of people joined today who are not necessarily JNTU alumni, and we welcome you to come back again and again. We have these webinars every second Saturday of the month from 10 a.m. to noon, roughly Eastern time, and on variety of topics from financial planning to technology, all the way through health and wellness and so on and so forth, which help us grow professionally and personally as well. With that
Yeah.
said, Shekhar Garu, go ahead if you had a
No, no. All I was saying is, listen. I'm also kind of a life coach. I spend a lot of time trying to talk about self management. So my next book, last year I wrote a book called Born to Give. My next book is called Stuck at Excellent. So it's just a mindset book. Later on in the year, if you want, I'll be happy. Won't take up 2 hours, but 20 minutes is enough, 30 minutes.
That will be great,
Talk about-
Shekhar. We will schedule in a couple of months when you are free again.
Yes, sir.
We'll have Suresh coordinate with you. Thank you so much. That will be great help for our community here.
It's a fantastic suggestion. Thank you so much, Shekhar Garu. And before I hand over to Kumar Garu for proposing the vote of thanks and wrapping up this session, I'd like to once again say Happy New Year to everybody and happy Bhogi and Sankranti that's coming up very soon. Over to you, Kumar Garu, for wrapping up the session.
Kumar
You're on
Garu.
mute, sir. Sir, you're on mute. Kumar Garu.
Oh, sorry about that. And I thought I did it. Thank you, Praveen. And thank you, everyone, and joining today's session. Thank you, Shekhar Garu. It's wonderful information and a lot. It's an ocean. And I agree that we all learn how to make money, but we don't know. I think we need to know also a lot to protect that money and for the future and our retirement and everything. And one of the topic I think everybody was trying to learn is Roth IRA. Probably in the next session or so, maybe you can have little more detailed version of clarifications or information on Roth IRA, so
Yeah,
that
I will.
Wow.
a lot of people
What
will
we
be
should do,
benefited.
Shekhar, next time when we come, let's bring a CPA along with you
Yeah.
I
onto
was
the
just going
call.
to say that. I was just
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to say
yeah.
that.
That will help to clarify some of these things specific to accounting and other things. Yeah.
That's true. So I think certain age people try to see how I can avoid the taxes and all. There are ways, but again, there are kind of difficulties. You can clarify them in next sessions. I think this is wonderful, and I thank you all our alumni and friends and family who attended today. It's, I think, very big. 50+ people attended. I think it's a really a good, interesting topic to say, and hope people got benefit out of this, and probably we'll try to help in the different topics in the next time around. Thank you all. Happy New Year and happy Sankranti.
Excuse
Bogi.
me, Hare Krishna. Namaste,
Yeah.
Andy.
Bye.
Thank you
Namaste.
so much.
Can you please share the recording? I missed it.
Yes.
If
Yeah.
possible.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so the recording will be posted in the WhatsApp channels of the Alumni Association. Anybody
Yeah.
who's not part of the alumni, we can always pass it
Let
on
us
to you.
know. We can
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
And we're also
It's
going
on
to get the
YouTube, I think.
presentation from
I think
Shekhar
it is on
Garu.
YouTube,
Yeah,
right,
I have
Harigaru?
to. By the
Yeah.
way, I
Yeah,
have
it is
to
a JNTUH
leave.
YouTube. Yes, yes. We'll
I
send the
have
link
to
to
leave.
YouTube
everybody.
already.
YouTube lo.
Thank you, everybody. I have to leave, unfortunately, because I have a time-sensitive issue. So, thank you again. I
Please
appreciate.
carry on, Shekhar.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Shekhar
Thank
Garu.
you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Shekhar. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Suresh
everyone.
Somisetti Garu. Suresh, if you could share the presentation, we can also post that in due